is going to disrupt creation. So if the internet disrupted distribution, AI lets anybody anywhere create content. Content is about to become infinite. It used to be you would tell a CEO on a startup, what's your elevator pitch, right? What's your elevator pitch? Now, it's what's your meme. Everybody building a company needs a meme. I tell creators, take a look at the last 20 things that you've put online and think to yourself, could an AI have done all of those? And if it's like, yes, 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 no, no, lean into the no, no, and think about taking that digital twin to do the yes, yes, yes. Hey, I'm Jim Louderback. I write a newsletter called Inside the Creator Economy, and so psyched to be here.
And I'm Dan Blumberg. This is Future Round and Find Out. We are live from South by Southwest. Specifically, we are live from Podcast Movement Evolutions, kind of a conference within the conference here at Southwest. I'm here with Jim Louderback. Jim, you gave a great talk. I've seen it now 2 years in a row at South by Southwest, where you sort of go through what's exciting, what's scary, what's weird in the creator economy. Can you give a bit of the hypothesis of like where we're going and touch on some of those points?
Yeah, so this year I changed it up a little bit because, you know, AI, you heard about AI, right?
I think so.
We all have heard about that. But it is changing the creator space in very interesting ways. And I've been in the media space and been through like the last 3 transitions in media. And look, every technology that has come out, every significant change has changed media. So the internet first started coming out. I was working on magazines. And it changed.
I've heard of those too.
You heard of those too? They still are. They're actually on the way back. But you know, all of a sudden, anybody anywhere could start a blog, and it was a computer magazine. So, and I had a column in a computer magazine at like 30. I was like, oh, I've arrived. And then the internet showed up, and anybody could have a blog about technology, and they did. And then when we got to sort of Web 2.0, when like Facebook and others came, it's been 22 years since Facebook came out. Did you know that?
That is
launched in
wild.
2004.
Yeah. The Facebook.
Then everybody could communicate with each other, and we started getting photos, we started getting video out there, and so anybody could do video and TV, and that has disrupted television. We see that happen with Paramount and with HBO and all the legacy players. Audio is in there as well, right? So audio was really early around, you know, in the 90s, we started doing streaming audio. Is it PC Week? We did PC Week Radio, it was great. But podcasting is sort of that audio evolution, no pun intended, but it doesn't replace radio. It's just expanded the ability for people to listen to things. The transition that's happening now with AI is as big a deal as those, because what happened with the internet and with video is distribution got disrupted. Suddenly anybody, anywhere in the world with no friends, no followers, no fans, no subscribers could wake up one morning and say, I'm going to start a channel. I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to start a video. And they could reach anyone, anywhere in the world. Now, you had to be good at making video. You had to be able to say, hi, everyone, it's me. I'm here in my basement. Isn't it great? Thanks for joining me. You had to do that kind of stuff. You had to be able to edit. You had to be able to do all those things to make video. AI is going to disrupt creation. So if the internet disrupted distribution, AI lets anybody anywhere who may not be able to talk to the camera well, may not know how to edit, may not know how to like think about creating a story, to create content. And so we are entering a world where distribution has already been disrupted and content is about to become infinite. And what that means, whether you're a maker, a builder, a creator, or anybody, is I think we're gonna, let's say roughly there are 250 million self-identified creators in the world right now. I think in the next 5 years, we're gonna welcome between 250 and 500 million more in. And that will be as big a disruption as it was to traditional media. When you're doing magazines and somebody gave you that column in a newspaper and you needed printing presses and people to ship it out to people. To the internet, that's going to be as big a disruption. It's going to be tough.
And who does that favor? What type of creator becomes one of those new 250 million that you're talking about?
Well, one of the new 250 million people are the people out there that maybe like, okay, question for you. How many people are there that speak Romanian as a native language?
50 million, I don't know.
So it's somewhere about 40 or 50. That's a good guess.
Thank you. Fun fact, one of the producers on the show lives in Romania.
Okay,
so
cool.
Not that he told me that fact.
But so anyway, if you do a video and you're making a video in Romanian and in the language, your total addressable market was 40 to 50 million. But with AI now, it already does a great job translating. It's not perfect. We're moving to the point where it can do lip syncing and translating and face translating and emotional translating along with just words and voice. And so that means that instead of having a TAM of 40 to 50 million, you have a TAM of however many people are on the internet, 7 or 8 billion or whatever the number is. So that's one. But also people who may not want to put themselves in front of the camera. I mean, think about it. Not everybody like you and me are video ready.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are afraid of putting themselves there. A lot of people who don't want to expose themselves.
Yeah.
And so you'll have the ability to create avatars that are truly avatars that will do that and be you, and you can work with them on it. It is also, just as we saw with print, and when we went from magazines and television to blogs and YouTube, people already working in media who know how to tell stories, who know how to work in these mediums, in these, like, text or video or audio, they will be able to, the ones who are forward thinking and will play around with it and test it, they'll cross the chasm or wake the divide or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll make the transition, but so many won't. Just like so many people that I used to work with in magazines are now no longer in media.
Right. And the things that, for people that do want to cross that chasm right now, that are thinking like, how will AI both present itself as an opportunity and also, where am I about to be commoditized? What are some of the things they should be playing with right now?
Here are a couple things to think about. First of all, you should just be testing and watching everything out there. And by the way, creators are doing that. Epidemic Sound did a survey last year where they found that like 91% of creators are using AI in their workflow at some level. I mean, maybe it's doing ideation, maybe it's doing storyboarding, maybe it's doing editing. So get out there, get in front of those tools, but that's not going to be enough. So as we move to a world where there's so much infinite AI generated content, there's a couple things you can do. One, what makes you human?
Yeah.
I think being human and having content coming from humans, we're going to have, organic food, right? We have that organic food label. This is organic. It's going to be good for you.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have an authentic, provable human.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's going to be like a tattoo on my arm or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Look, everyone, I'm a real human.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a really important thing. So when you think about working with and engaging with audiences, whether you're a creator or a builder or whatever, a marketer, think about how you prove that you're human when you're communicating. And some of the ways we do that are showing up at events like South by.
Yep.
I think, and I have been doing events for a lot of my career, I think events are one of the best ways to prove you're human. There's also creepy things that you can do to prove you're human, like the playable creator. You think about the non-playable character. As you're a creator, you're out there and like having your fans control your life. Like you're sitting there and your fans are like, all right, you need to eat that weird thing, or you need to break up with your girlfriend, or you need to do this. And they will actually do it. And so that is creepy, but I think we'll see more of that verification vlogging, as I've been calling it, or
dance monkey dance.
Exactly. Well, remember, you'll remember this maybe. Remember Subservient Chicken?
Yes, I do.
So Subservient Chicken, for those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
well, it was like in 2002, 2003, really smart ad agency said, if we put this guy in a chicken suit on the internet and let people ask them questions, we can't do it live because the technology wasn't there. We didn't have avatars or anything. But they went out, because I talked to one of the people who did it. They brainstormed on the top 250 or 300 questions that they thought people would answer, and they videotaped the guy in the chicken suit answering it, or like dance, doing a dance, or do a chicken dance. That's an obvious one.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like you were talking to this chicken and it was doing and responding to you in real time, this guy in a chicken suit. It wasn't. But that's sort of the ultimate, take that through line to verification blogging. And the other thing is the age of perfection is over. So the age of perfectly coiffed, perfectly written.
Hey guys.
Right, the Instagram model. It's like, hi, I'm perfect.
Yeah.
And they have no blemishes like I have. Their hair is perfect, unlike mine. They look like they're 22. That's over, because AI can do that so easily. So more and more we're seeing creators showing their imperfections, showing the messy part of themselves, showing the vulnerable part of themselves. And so my message to anybody building or creating or branding or whatever is, stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be real.
Yeah. I mean, the advice to be authentic that's not new advice, and it's always been a tough thing to, what does that even mean?
It's totally like that term is so overdone.
Yeah.
I think it's about being truthful, being honest, but I think at its core, it's about being trusted. So think about the metrics that we've used to see how many people listen to our podcast, how many people watched our video, how many people, it's views, it's likes, it's subscribers, it's watch time, it's dwell time, it's play starts, whatever they are.
Yeah.
All those metrics are now useless because they can all be like totally disrupted by AI. So I think we're moving from a world where engagement and views and likes will be fading away. And the only thing that really matters is trust.
Uh-huh.
And so I think we're moving to a trust economy, which other people have said, not me. But I
Yeah.
think what I'm really fascinated by is the concept of, and people are trying to build this, but no one's doing it yet, has it? How do you measure trust? And it's
Just gonna ask that,
it's
yeah.
the trust graph.
Yeah.
And because look, you have a great trusted audience, right? Not everybody who's listening trusts you, but there's a core group. It could be
Yep.
80%, it could be 60%, it could be 20%. Whoever they are, they trust you. And you tell them something, they trust that you're going to give them good information. But then those people, that 20, 40, 60%, who trusts them? And then you start looking at this trust graph, and it gets to 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? How far does the trust graph go down where you lose that trust? Like your audience trusts, a person in your audience trusts you. You say something, they tell their friends, they trust their friend. If that friend tells somebody else, does that chain of trust decay? I don't know.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the only metric that matters in the age of AI.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, it's another way of saying word of mouth. I mean, just one of the things
Right.
I've been working
It's very
on
much like
a lot
yeah.
with the show is like there are all sorts of growth tactics. I'm curious to hear from you what you find effective for podcasts or newsletters or things like that. But ultimately, it comes down to word of mouth and how you measure that that's happening. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, WAMA, word of mouth, there's an association, the WAMA Word of Mouth Association. So
Okay.
I'm not an expert at this, but there are people out there who've thought through this and thought about what that means. So they're totally aligned.
Yeah.
But word of mouth, I mean, somebody you don't trust could say something. It's like, well, I know that, I got that. And to buy something, you need to see it or hear about it 5 to 7 times before you pull the trigger. They're all part of that chain. Media mix marketing. But I think like for growth hacking, for me, because I write a newsletter, right? And I do some video on LinkedIn and other things. I mean, I'm not very good at it, but I find the best way for me to get more subs for my newsletter and to expose people to it is going to events.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to go to an event, whether it's something I'm running, like I'm just doing like come hang out with me at a bar and let's chat, but or speaking to people, it's like, if you like this, subscribe to my newsletter, and that'll give me your email address and all that. That, I don't know. I know there are a lot of other ways, and I could do like lots of exchanges, and I could buy lists, which I'm not going to do. And I think this more and more will be the way you do it, because I'm out there in front of people and I'm a human and I'm talking to them and they see me and hopefully they like or dislike or just like my point of view.
Yeah.
And then they hopefully will subscribe. To me, that's the best growth hack. And it's not a hack.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
Yeah. And you know the event business really, really well. You used to be the CEO of VidCon.
Yep.
I'd love to hear, I mean, a little bit more about that experience and about what's different about the events business today. You travel to a lot of events. You and I are both just at Web Summit. We're here at South by Southwest. Like, what is it today that's like making an incredible event for you?
Yeah, so I did VidCon. I helped Hank and John build it, and then I was CEO and sold it to Viacom and took it around the world. I now do a lot of work with events. Just when I got started at VidCon, I was running Hank brought me in after Hank Green, sorry. So I started building their industry track because they had a fan track and they had all this other stuff. And then they, made me CEO and I sold it. But I really like doing that. So now I'm doing that at events around the world, from Dubai to now I'm doing some stuff in Paris. I'm doing some stuff in Berlin, San Francisco, where I live. I think what makes an event good, there's a couple of different things, but I don't think, you ask what's different. A lot of the elements of a good event are in some ways timeless. So you don't want to just do it, have people show up and leave and then be like, they don't remember you. You want to build a community of people that come back. You want to make sure you get a bunch of people together in the room. But the whole concept of experience design doesn't start when people enter the event and it doesn't end when they leave event. To having a really impactful event, you have to start at the moment that they hear about it. Then once they decide to go, that's the next thing you need to build a great experience around. And then when your speakers or your attendees or whatever, when they're leaving their house and they're going to go to your event, what can you do there to make it special? And then when they're on the plane, I've arrived at your event, or I'm at a hotel, I'm at the event. That experience is magical because you want to help them, that moment in time, move from the world you live in every day to this world that you spent time and money and invested in to get to.
Yeah.
And so even before your event opens, there's so many things you need to do to make that work. At the event, content is great. I'm a content person. Content's awesome. Great speakers, engaging, quick. We all are short attention span these days. Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, Shorts and Reels. So long hour, like South by the way, hopefully no one from South by will take this the wrong way, but South by still does hour-long sessions. And here they're not. I mean, I was in a great set, but that's like hour-long sessions. That can just be too much. So short.
Well, if you're going to wait online for an hour, you
that
got to
too.
get an hour.
Oh my!
Once you're in.
Yeah, no. Well, we can talk about
There's that too. But
that experience doesn't really jive with me either. But I get why they do it. So in the end, I think events that you want to make sure people connect with each other, make sure that you build some lifelong connections, that you hear some meaningful things. I always say that the content needs to, for me, when I do it, has to have a mix of things that you can take home to the office tomorrow and put to work that can start making your life better. And then the strategic stuff that maybe changes your opinion of where the world is going. Mm-hmm. And that will reframe your brain when you think about whatever that event's about. And then the other side is, are there 4 or 5 people that I could be lifelong friends with and I'm going to know forever? Yeah. Those, to me, if you do those 3 things as success, I don't think that's changed that much.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about in many ways about great hospitality. A lot of the advice you just gave could also apply to like an app and how you onboard people from the
100%. Yeah, when you think about the app, the experience, the first time someone hits the download button and downloads your app, what's that user experience like? And I also, the other side of it is when you leave the event, you can't just stop as an event producer. You need to keep the experience going. And you think about it for a user of an app or something, it's like, you can't just say, oh, well, now they're a user, that's great. How do you keep it feeling fresh? How do you keep it feeling, whatever Steve Jobs used to say, it's just make it magical or whatever. Like, how do you keep doing that? Yeah. And there's so many times, like my first magazine I was editor-in-chief of was Windows Sources, and I'm still a Windows user. Microsoft is killing the user experience after you become a Windows user. Constant updates. Every time they update, they try to re-get you to use Bing as your search engine. It's like, no, you have to keep the magic going. Don't keep trying to shove things down people's throat. Mm-hmm.
You said one of those hallmarks of a great conference is you might learn a couple things that change your worldview. I don't know if you found anything here at this conference so far that's changed that, but what are some recent things that have struck
I
you?
was just in there before, and what the guy was speaking was rolling out some research about podcasts. And I ran a YouTube network early on, but it was actually a video podcast network before we pivoted to YouTube as YouTube started to ascend. Mm-hmm. I was deep in the space then, still am a little bit now. But he said, we've never taught people what a podcast is and why a podcast is important. We've never had that educational campaign, and it's been 25 years or whatever, and we still haven't done that. And I was like, you're right. I was like, listen to our podcast, do this, do that, but we haven't done a good enough job of really explaining why. And this was 15 minutes ago, and I was like, whoa, you're right.
All right. Shout out to Tom Webster. And
exactly.
Sounds Profitable.
Well done, Tom. Also, the other thing I will say, the South by, for people who've never been, always has a series of things happening around it. Some are official South by, some are not official South by. Like this is a satellite event, part of South by that we're at here, Podcast Evolution. But there's another one called Female Quotient. And Female Quotient is a great network. They do events everywhere that are sort of adjacent, but part of events around the world, from the World Economic Forum to the Super Bowl. And so it's a great community of women helping each other and great content. Guys are allowed in. But and I went and saw 2 of my favorite podcasters who have actually become really big, and they only just launched a year and a half ago, the Tiger Sisters. And I loved what they had to say. Yeah, Sheree, I know. I've been on stage with Sheree.
We used to work together at LinkedIn.
Oh,
I'm actually seeing her this afternoon.
Oh, cool. Cool. She's great. Tell her she was great last night. I didn't get a chance to go say hi. I love Sheree. I've met Jean once or twice. Okay. But I loved when they were talking about their matcha, because they now have a product of matcha. And I did not know this. So I knew that Jean had spent time, and I knew that Sheree had spent time in Japan during school. I didn't know how much she had leaned into matcha and was at this little farm that she worked at. And that now that's the backbone of their product. And that personal touch, building a community through personal touch, A, super smart. Yeah. B, that is the way that people will build see you as human, big media projects in the age of AI. They're so natural, but the fact that they're like, I'm out there picking the matcha, and I'm working with these, and I'm doing this for you. And they're like, we hand pack everything we send to people.
Yeah.
That's how you win in the age of AI. So I was like, first of all, I listen to them talk anytime, but seeing them do that was just really cool. So
This actually touches on something that I wanted to ask you about, which is in this era of AI where making software is not that defensible. The software itself is not that defensible anymore. It's really not that all software was always defensible anyway, but like storytelling, brand trust is even more important for the builders who are listening. Like, what are some things that you're seeing that are really effective for software companies in terms of telling their story and being defensible when it's the code itself? We just had a huge crash in software as a service stocks because someone said that we're all going to code our own DoorDash. I don't think that's true. But what are you seeing here in terms of how they can use story?
So I have two answers. The first is, and I've done 2 startups. Well, I helped Hank and John with theirs, but and I did a little seed investing afterwards. My first bosses in media started a seed fund. They're like, will you come help us? I'm like, sure. But it used to be, you would tell a CEO on a startup, what's your elevator pitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your elevator pitch? What can you go and say, this is what I am, and people get it?
Yeah.
Now, it's what's your meme? Everybody building a company needs a meme. It's not an elevator pitch. It's a meme that you can put out there and refine. And that is kind of the beginning of what you need to think of as an entrepreneur building a business and as a builder is what's your meme, but also what's your story? People buy stories.
Yeah.
When anybody can vibe code anything, people want to buy a story. They want to buy from people they trust. And so learning how to tell your stories. And you don't need to be like I was saying about Instagrammers. You don't need to be the perfect person. You just need to go do it and learn it. And so you as a CEO or somebody building something, you may think I'm not a good storyteller. You may be afraid of the camera. That's okay. You don't have to do it yourself. Now, if you do and you can build that up, and you're a startup, all that money that you would have spent on marketing is now just you. So it actually saves some of that. If you raise money, the lifeblood of your company, you're not giving all that treasure away to marketing and PR. You're keeping that treasure in house because you're the one doing it. Super powerful if you can do it. But if you're like, I just can't, I just can't, which is a lot of people. Finding a creator that you're aligned with, just like maybe as a founder, you needed to find a co-founder. Like you're really good on vision, you're really good on what people need, but you need someone to do the tech. Or you're really good on the tech and you need someone who can actually talk. Creators can do that for you. So the idea of finding a creator, putting them on the cap table, making them maybe a C-level exec, and having them be your storyteller, getting out there, being aligned, aligning objectives is so important. And creators want to do this. So think about, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to develop that muscle, you don't want to get out there, there are people who will do that.
Yeah, and what are some of your favorite examples of this? And it's also going in both directions, right? Creators are launching their own, chocolate bars and banks and whatever else. But what are some of your top examples of, companies that have done a good job of storytelling and using creators, grooming them themselves?
No, I think that's a really good question. I'm going to bring up a big example because it's both good and bad. Not bad, but so Marquise Brownlee, right? Everybody knows Marquise. He went over to Ridge and he had reviewed their stuff and done things and really likes them. And so then he became a part owner of it and is now talking about it. He has done a good job being between this is what I'm working on. I'm part of the company, but he's accelerated that company in many ways. You see that with Stephen Bartlett and some of the stuff that he's done. Rox Codes, I don't know if you know Rox. No. Rox Codes is building Flightcast for Stephen Bartlett, which is like a video podcast accelerator, et cetera. But that's an example of he is both a creator and a developer, but he's a great communicator also. So bringing people like that in. I think who is it? Alex Earl and Poppy. Poppy came in and Alex Earl helped them out and really accelerated that beverage company up. Even Ryan Reynolds and Mint, right? Everyone's like, oh, Ryan Reynolds started Mint. Ryan Reynolds didn't start Mint. He came in, they gave him a big chunk of the company, but he took it to the point where they could sell it for billions.
Yeah.
So those are sort of classic big examples, but there's smaller ones.
I was just going to ask, what are some more attainable ones in the short term?
Well, let's see.
Or just what is the shape of it? What does it look like for,
Yeah, the what it looks like is finding somebody who loves your product, who's aligned with it, who loves the market, who has something to add from the company perspective, but will also do that, but also communicate about it. So There's a company that is out there that is actually building, I'm going to think of the name, but they're building a platform where creators and startup founders can connect with each other. And it's called OWM, OWM.
Okay.
And Jeff, who runs it, is a great entrepreneur, but it's a place where if you're building something, you can go there and try and find creators. It's like match. It's like Tinder. It's not like Tinder, but imagine Tinder for connecting creators with founders. What Jeff is building is really interesting because it kind of pulls that together. And it's not, just like if you're a founder and you're bringing in a co-founder who is a coder, or a co-founder who's this or that.
Yeah.
You need to vet it. You got to find out somebody you can work with and that you share it. But if you do, that's great.
Yeah. When you talk to creators who are earlier in their journey, they're trying to cross the chasm, you used that phrase earlier, like when they're trying to figure out, should I keep going? Should I quit? Should I pivot? Like what are some of the things that you look for or that they should be looking for as they figure that out?
Well, part of it is just making sure that you have an audience. If you're building an audience that cares about you and you feel like there's that trust connection, there's that ability for you to lean into that and say, look, hey, buy my course, buy this thing I have, buy me a coffee. Or if they're connecting with you all the time, if you're able to build that community of shared interest, you're doing really well. And I think that it's like the same thing with a founder. If you put something out there and there's product market fit, right? But I think for a creator, it's creator community fit. And by the way, this is something that founders need to do too. Product market fit, creator community fit, and then product creator fit. All of those tie into what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But if you're beginning to see that you, as a creator, you have creator community fit, then how do I deepen that? How do I extend that? How do I find more of it? And then as you start to grow, look at the things that you don't like doing. Look at the things that you're doing. Look at the 30, 40, 50, 80% of their time that you're spending not creating, not connecting, not doing the things that make you and that you're passionate about as a creator, and then figure out how to offload those.
Yeah.
It might be hiring a COO, and we see a lot of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
It might be hiring a business advisor to help teach you, because a lot of creators have never been mentored. They've never had a job. They started when they were 15, and now suddenly they're making money, and they have no idea they've never had an employee.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what we were like when we got in the workforce. We were not that great. People helped us.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you were. I was not.
No.
You remember your first job?
Yeah.
Anyway, so part of it is finding that. And it could be AI. Like in many ways, AI is going to help creators take that 50 or 60% of the stuff that they hate off their, like, I wouldn't say get an AI lawyer now. I wouldn't say get an AI head of finance now, but someday.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah.
So it's those things, but if you want to accelerate, just like, I mean, it's no different from a founder building a company, right? You got your first couple hires, you bring them in, everybody does everything. And as your startup grows into a bigger company, people have to compartmentalize. People have to hire someone just to do sales, someone eventually just to do HR. Think about that as a creator as well. You're going to hire someone just to be your editor. You're going to hire somebody just to do your brand deals. And it could be a manager, it could be somebody you hire, but start building your bench in that way. And because basically at the core, you talk about builders and people building companies, every creator, except, the artists who are out there doing it just for the love of it, but most creators are direct to consumer CEOs of a company, or as I like to call it, direct to community.
Yeah.
But they're DTC CEOs.
Yeah.
And so you have to think like that.
So my first job, you mentioned first job. My first job after college, I went to Chicago Public Radio.
Oh, wow,
from
cool.
New York. And so
nice.
Yeah, so and that's, by the way, where I met John Green, which I'll tell you about in a second.
Oh, okay.
But so I, my career arc is I was a journalist in public radio for a decade, Chicago Public Radio. I came home to New York. I was at WNYC. Then I kind of caught the startup bug, and that's where I met Cherie at LinkedIn after being at the New York Times for a number of years. And now I find myself creatoring, for lack of a better verb.
Creatoring.
And like I have a passion for journalism right now, and I think it's very much under threat. And I feel more
100%.
motivated to. I know you're on the board of KQED. I'm just, it's a big question, but like, how do you view this moment that we're in right now? It's not easy to be especially if you're trying to tell stories that are not popular right now. It's not an easy time to be here, at least in America.
Yeah.
How do you advise, I don't know, creators, journalists, of that realm?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think about this a lot, and there is because there's a way to really go direct, right? Which is like I'm kind of doing it with my newsletter. What I'm doing, like I'm not running big media companies. It's all me. You're doing something similar.
Yeah,
you can go direct at some level and do some of what journalism has been doing, but things like and I started someone who was like, investigative journalism, right? The areas where you can do investigative journalism, where telling the truth to power, where you really need financial support for the ultimate suits that come in, and
Right.
all of
You need
this,
lawyers. Yeah.
and lawyers and all that. And so that's where I love the fact that anybody can be a journalist, and self-styled journalist, but it's just like a creator of any sort needs to be taught how to run a business, needs to be mentored. Anybody who goes out and says, I'm a journalist, I'm going to cover stories, probably needs to have some people that they can advise and help and think about. You can't just be like that fully formed, although you can create and do all that. But we need an ability and organizations that will tell, the truth to power, and that will do investigative journalism. And, you talked about public radio and KQED. One of the reasons why I wanted to be part of KQED is all public media is kind of our last hope to be that. And it's not going to be funded by subscriptions. It's not going to be a Substack subscription for most people. But it is very important. And I am actually very optimistic because people are leaning in and voting with their dollars to support it.
Oh, you're seeing that
In public media across the board.
Through the pledge drive, and that's effectively the
all kinds of ways. Although there are a lot of nonprofits out there looking for money, there are a lot of people who are really, really concerned and care.
Yeah.
But I think we need that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Is it? I'm not going to say it needs to be government sponsored because that has its own risks.
Yeah.
But I do think. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't have an answer, but that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. Is there anything else that I haven't asked that we should get into for this audience?
I think one of the things when I look further out is how AI is going to help builders, creators, is allowing them to multiply themselves in ways that feel good.
Okay.
So, by the way, you never told me your Hank Green story.
I'm getting there, John. Green story. I'm getting there.
So you're a creator. You're doing, you talk to people I'll just tell you a story. I'll use a particular type of creator. So this great finance creator who does portfolio reviews, right? And people are like, oh, I want to, do a portfolio review. And his video, everybody's like, I'm a different individual. I'm doing a portfolio review with them, and it's really cool. And he's built an app, like a finance app to help people with their budgeting and things like that. But I think, and I'm not going to name names, but I was talking to his manager last night, and I'm like, because she was on stage after she came off, I'm like, you know what? He needs to create a digital twin of himself. Mm-hmm. Many of them. Be upfront about what he's doing. And rather than just selling an app, sell the digital twin as your own customized personal financial agent advisor that's always with you, that has access to your credit cards, your bank, whatever you're doing, and is there just to give you advice on what you're doing all the time. And the key thing is, and then his manager told me this, which I thought was a really cool thing, is, but then you're very upfront about that, but you also have a back channel where when you're ready to make a big financial decision, maybe like, I got to talk to the source. And the source can then say, okay, maybe you're buying a house or something.
Yeah.
And so you've got the agent. It's like, hey, can you book me time with, with the big boss or whatever?
The human.
Right. And then I'd spend $400 to get advice on a really big financial thing. And so instead of software, think about people and digital twins and hundreds or thousands of them, and replicating that personal experience, but also having a back channel to the human.
Yeah.
And I just think that somebody is going to build that, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. If you were cloning yourself as a digital twin, maybe you've done it already, like what questions would you be asking to make sure that it's going to represent you the way that you hope to be represented? It's well safe, it's trustworthy, it's on brand, it's, it's got your personality, whatever, go on.
No, the first thing I would do is find a lawyer, and I would get copyright and whatever of my name, image, likeness, and myself. We don't really have right now the ability to copyright a persona, but do as much as you can to do that.
Didn't Matthew McConaughey just do this recently?
I think so. There's been a lot of effort on it, but yes. Yeah. So make sure you do that. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not up on that, but make sure you do that. And then if you're going to create these digital twins, I'm still really worried because it's what I just said is awesome. It's a great vision. But what happens if one of them goes off the rails and starts spewing toxic nonsense? It's going to reflect back on you because everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe Jim said that. So, be very careful in how you do it and think through the ramifications. So I've not done it yet. I've looked into what should I do it? A friend of mine at Web TV Asia keeps on saying, we're ready to do your digital twin. And I'm like, okay, come on. And then we're not there yet. But But I think being able to have those guardrails in place and then just figuring out like what makes you uniquely you. So another thing I say to creators is,
And do you want that uniquely you to be in the twin, or do you want that to stay you?
no, it's fine. I don't mind. I don't
Okay.
mind if my
Yeah.
digital twin becomes more famous than me.
Okay.
That's I'm not.
And you talked about, it may outlive you as well.
Oh, death bots, absolutely. That's a whole nother topic. But I think making sure that the guardrails are there, making sure that you've protected your name, image, and likeness, and then just like figuring out what you want to do with it. But like I tell creators, take a look at the last 20 things that you've put online, whatever it is, and think to yourself, could an AI have done all of those? And if it's like, yes, 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 no, no, lean into the no, no, and think about taking that digital twin to do the yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, right on. All right, let me tell you. So I told you I was at Chicago
Yep,
Public Radio right after college. I worked on a news magazine program called 848, and John Green was a contributor to the show.
Nice.
So I'm 21. He's about the same age, basically. And he would. This is way before he was famous. John Green. I mean, I think everybody probably knows, but The Fault in Our Stars.
Right. Yep. Turtles All the Way Down, and Vlog Brothers on YouTube with his brother Hank. They started VidCon. They started Complexly, which does SciShow and Crash Course.
Yeah.
If you were in school 15 years ago, 10 years ago, you learned history and science from SciShow and Crash Course.
Yeah.
They're the ones behind that. Sorry.
So he was, no, it's good. So, because you know more about him than I, because I really know him from this particular time when he would come into the radio station every now and then. He would record his like kind of like radio commentary, and they were always hysterical. And when we first met, I forget how this came up, but my last name is Blumberg. He worked, I know, because he told me his day job was working at the American Library Association.
Right, yep.
And I was like, oh, you may have heard of my grandma. My grandmother, she's passed, but Rhoda Blumberg, well-known author of nonfiction for young adults. She's won a bunch of prestigious, awards, and John was looked at me like, oh, your grandma is awesome. Rhoda Blumberg? I was a star by association. And I've literally told this story at her funeral of that this very soon later on to be famous person was so impressed with me because of my grandma, and the books that she's had written about Lewis and Clark and Commodore Perry and the American Gold Rush and things like that. So that's so cool. And he was, I don't know what he's like today, but he was I don't know, a lot of writers are, nervous. There was a nervousness to him. So
both Hank and John are amazing people, some of the best people on the planet. Yeah. And I got to know them. I got to know John, but more Hank, because it was Hank. VidCon was really, they both own it, but he was really the guy running it. Yeah. And not only are their hearts in the right place, but they're acting on it and they're working to change the world, and they've had a real impact on the world. And we need more people like that. So that's all I'll say. They're the best. And yeah, if you ever see Hank and John doing something, watch it, read it, listen to it, give money to it, because they're just some of the best people in the world.
Awesome. Jim, this was really fun. Thank you so much. I enjoyed this a lot. I enjoyed featuring around and finding out with you, so thank you.
Yeah. No, this is great. Thank you. It's been awesome to be here, and can't wait to do it again.
All right, cool. See ya.
This is Future Around and Find Out, and I am so excited to keep exploring with you, to keep steering the future in the right direction. Go to futurearound.com to get the newsletter, to ask questions of upcoming guests, and to find more ways that we can build a better future together.